Okay, Shabbat Shalom. I'm so glad to see you all here. This is my favorite part of the week, right this moment, when I see you all, and I just so glad to have Shabbat with you. So, if you will, open to page 128. You may know the words, though. We're doing Hine Matov. You can probably just sing along. Tracy just closed her siddur. She's okay. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Let's turn to page 130. Lechun ranana l'Adonai nadiya litzur yishenu. Lechun ranana l'Adonai nadiya litzur yishenu. Nikadma fanav bitoda bizmirot nadiya lo. Ki el gadol Adonai umelech gadol al kol Elohim asher biyado Mechirei aretz v'totafot harim lo. Asher lo hayam v'hu asahu v'yabesh et yadav yatsaru. Bo'u nishtachaveh nivrecha lifnei Adonai Oseinu ki hu Eloheinu v'anachnu amarito v'tzon yado. Ay lai 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 Hayom im bekolo tishma'u. And let's turn to page 134. We'll sing Zamru l'Adonai. Zamru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor v'kol zimra. Zamru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor v'kol zimra. B'chatzot rot v'kol shah הריעו לפני המלך אדוני. Ay la 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 la. Ay la 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 la. Ay la 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 la. Zamru Adonai bechinor, bechinor, v'chol zimra. B'chatzot tzirot, v'kol shofar. Hariu lifnei hamelech Adonai. Ay ay la 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 la. And we will go to page 137. Adonai Oz Le'amo Yutain, and it will go straight into our Lecha Dodi. I knew what it was, I couldn't think of the words. So Adonai Oz right into Lecha Dodi. So I won't tell you where to turn the page, we'll just do it. Adonai Oz Le'amo Yutain, Adonai Yivarech et amo v'shalom. Ay la 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 la. Adonai Oz Le'amo Yutain, Adonai Yivarech et amo v'shalom. Ay la 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 la. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. 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 Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, hishme'anu el hamyuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shem u'tiferet v'litila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki mekor habracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'ase b'machshavat tchila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrakala yadadai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrakala yadadai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoredi, kiva orekumi uri, shidaberi, kevod Adonai, alayik nigla, lecha dodi likrakala yadadai, 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi likrakala yadadai, 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Please rise. Bawi v'shalom ateret ba'ala gam b'simcha uv'tzola toch emunei am segula bawi chala lecha dodi likrakala yadadai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrakala yadadai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. You may be seated. Let's light our Shabbat candles. Every week, this time of year, it's getting darker really a lot faster. So you're going to notice this time of the year, I think someone told me it's like we're at the point of like 10 minutes a week or so. I'd have to look and see. Don't quote me on that, but I do think it seems like it's that way. It's getting darker a lot sooner. So is there anyone, actually, okay, I don't want to disappoint anyone who really wants to light the candles, but Stu has returned. Stu, are you okay to come and light the Shabbos candles for us? I'm putting you on the spot. You can tell me no. Okay, I would love to have you come up here. Audrey, what page is it on? 120. Thank you. You know it by heart. She's a great lay leader. Yes. Okay, Stu. It's 120 down here. Yeah, 120. But you can look at mine if you'd like. It doesn't matter. It's all the same. That's it. That's it. It's so easy you don't recognize it. No, we don't. The candle holder's here, but there's no candle. So. Can you get it? I can. Do you want me to light it and say bracha? Oh, okay. It's terrible. It is terrible. Amen. Amen. Yeah. For 80 years. I'm always most afraid when I have an Aliyah to the Torah, because I know that's the prayer I'm going to mess up. I could lead a whole service, and the Aliyah to the Torah, that blessing is the one I'll script. So, Stu, thank you so much. That was so beautiful, and no worries. You know it today, just as you did when you were 10, I'm sure. All right, let's turn to page 140, and we'll sing Shalom Aleichem, and we'll welcome the angels, the entourage are here, and we'll say, we are so glad to have you here. 142, yes. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Baruch hu nile shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malchei hamlachim akadosh baruch hu. Tzeitzchem l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. We continue on page 144. Please rise. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba Be'amad yivrach yedutei v'yamlich malkutei B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dekol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala ba'agala uv'izman kariv V'imru amen Yehei shmei Rabba mevarach Le'alam u'lal me'amaya Yitbarach Yitbarach v'yishtabach V'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shmei dekudesha barichu Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata Damiran b'yama V'imru amen Lai la lai 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 la lai 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 la lai 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 la lai 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 la lai 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 la lai 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 la lai 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 la lai 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 Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed. You may be seated. We continue on page 148 as we remember that God rolls our day into our night, and God rolls light into darkness and darkness into light. And God rolls good into bad and bad into good. It is all fluid. Umaviyom umehivi laila umavdil ben yom uven laila Adonai tzvaot shemo El chai v'kayam tamidim lochalenu leolam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. And we continue on page 150. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amcha havta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu limata. Al-Kain Adonai Eloheinu b'shokbeinu uvkumeinu nasiach b'chukacha v'nismak b'divrei toratecha uv'mitzvotecha leolam va'ed ki hem chayenu ve'orach yameinu Uvahem nege yomam v'layla ve'ahavatcha al tasir mimenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael Ohev amo Yisrael. Please rise. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kivot Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. You may be seated. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha B'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol me'odecha v'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher hanochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanacha v'dibat abam v'shivtecha b'veitecha Uvelachtecha b'derech, uv'shokbecha uv'kumecha, uv'shartam le'ot al yadecha, v'hayu letotefot bein einecha, uktavtam al mezuzot beitecha, uv'yisharecha, Leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim lelohechem Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem lelohim Ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem emet. At the top of page 157, I ask you to read with me. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. We're on 158. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nehedai b'kodesh, nora tehilo rosefele, nora tehilo rosefele. Malchutecha uvanecha, bokei ayam lifnei Moshe, ze Elianu ve'am Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Lai 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 lai. Thus it is said, Adonai redeemed Yaakov from a hand stronger than his own. Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. We are in 160. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, Le'shalom. V'ha'amidenu, Shomreinu l'chaim, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, Shalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from. You continued it, and I'll do the bracha. Baruch atah Adonai, I'll say it. Aborei sukat shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. Sorry, I get allergies. I actually have some. I have like 5 bottles of water up here. I'm going to take my pick and hope that I picked the one with the least bacteria over the weeks. It's good for my immune system, right? It's just allergies. I'm okay. All right, so we are on page 162. I'm going to grab my guitar again. Okay, so I'll give you a choice. Which one do you want, Audrey? Vishamru, or do you want Yismachu? And I'll let Audrey choose because she is my person who is so great at the page numbers. So this is her reward. Vishamru, okay. I think I gotta do this here. There we go. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam b'rit olam. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam b'rit olam. B'nei uvein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam, oti le'olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam b'rit olam. כששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. A thought has blown the marketplace away. There's a song on the wind and joy in the trees. The Sabbath arrives in the world, scattering a song in the silence of the night. Eternity utters a day. I ask you to rise. Amidah begins on 166. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imoteinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim v'Konei Hakol, v'Zocher Chazdei Avot v'Imahot, Umevigo El Livnei v'Neihem Lema'an Shemo v'Ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai Mechayei metim, Atah Rav leHoshia, Marit hatal, Mechalchel chayim b'chesed, Mechayei hakol b'rachamim rabim, Somech noflim v'rofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei afar, Micha mocha ba'al gevurot, Umido melach, Melech memit umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'emanat halachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai mechayei hakol. The top of 171. Where might I go to find you, exalted, hidden one? Yet where would I not go to find you, ever-present, eternal one? My heart cries out to you. Please draw near to me. The moment I reach out for you, I find you reaching in for me. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'kol yom yahallelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el ha'kadosh. I'll give you a couple of minutes to pray silently, and then we'll sing Oseh Shalom together. Page 181 at the top, if you are ready. If you're still davening, it's okay. You don't have to join back with us yet. Create a pure heart within me. Let my soul wake up in your light. Open me to your presence. Flood me with your Holy Spirit. Then I will stand and sing out the power of your forgiveness. I will teach your love to the lonely. The lost will find their way home. Adonai, open up my lips, and my mouth will declare your praise. And the bottom of page 180, and you may be seated. Oh, say shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, imru, amen. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Before I continue and give my sermon, I would like you to turn back a few pages, and I want to just teach you something. You may have wondered about this in the past. What page is it? Let's see. When it happened, I thought, I've got to tell them about this. Page 168. Do you see in the parentheses it says metim over and over a couple times? And so it says Chaye Hakol, and then in parentheses it says metim ata rav lehoshia. Over and over it does that. So the traditional liturgy is metim, which is what I learned, and that's why sometimes, like tonight, I slip and I'm like kind of just praying and I'm not thinking, and I say Ata gibor le'olam Adonai mechaye metim ata rav, and I can hear Audrey saying Hakol, and it's great. The Reform liturgy changed it to Hakol because there's a theology of the resurrection of the dead, and the early Reformers rejected this theology that our bodies would physically rise from the dead. And so they said, Hakol, you give life to all. And so then, though, as times have changed and understanding of our beliefs have changed and the Reform movement has changed and evolved its theology, and as more conservative Jews, because of things like interfaith marriage, I believe, have come down the street to Reform synagogues and are praying with Reform Jews, and Reform Jews are praying with conservative Jews, they've begun to include both of the options in the Siddur. So, I don't actually have a preference. I just want you to know I'm not making a theological statement every time I say metim. I'm just on autopilot, and the text is Hakol, but it's not Hakol metim ata. That would be give life to all and revive the dead. We could say that, but we're not to say that. So that is the reason why, if you've ever wondered why that's there and why sometimes I say the wrong thing, it's not that I know something you don't know. It's just that I'm on autopilot. And you can make your own choice. The Reform movement is giving you a choice here to express your beliefs. So it's whatever you feel like saying. I think officially we probably should say Hakol because that's the dominant Reform movement text. That's the Reform text. But they are giving you an option, and if I slip up, I usually will revert back to Hakol the next time I realize it usually. So that is just a gee whiz, Devorah tefillah for you, a little bit of that. Right. Yeah, you just don't say that. You can say it, and if you go to a non-Reform synagogue, they will be saying metim. The theology of the resurrection of okay, I'll go into this. It's okay. I don't mind. I never mind explaining about theology. The problem is getting me to stop. So I will keep it brief because I do want to share with you today something else. But the answer to that, Tracy, is that, for those on YouTube, Tracy's question, actually, I don't want to have to reword it. Why don't I come down here and you can ask it again?
I asked with shocked disbelief, do conservatives believe in the resurrection of the body?
Okay, the resurrection of the body. So some of them may, that when we die and the Moshiach, the idea is Moshiach will come and the dead will rise from their graves and walk the earth. And this is actually a traditional Jewish belief in the resurrection of the dead. Now, what has happened is that, especially among conservative Jews and theology, and even in the Reform movement, and I can't speak for everyone, I'm just telling you different theology. Judaism doesn't have doctrine in the way that Christianity does. So, we're not going to tell you that you have to believe this or that. We don't know. These are theological beliefs. The idea is that perhaps we won't be walking around like zombies when Moshiach comes, but that every neshama will be present just like we were at Sinai. That's one way of looking at it. I'm sure you could get lots of rabbinic thought on this. It's a great question, and we could do a whole lunch and learn on resurrection of the dead if you are interested. There are people, this is one last gee whiz, and this is amazing. Last time I was in Israel, I went to an area where there was a cemetery, and the tour guide told me that this was a specific cemetery that's specifically very close to the temple gate where Moshiach is supposed to stand, and the dead are to rise, according to this theology, and the graves at this cemetery are going for over $1 million each. Can you imagine? Because people want to be the first to see Moshiach when Moshiach comes. So that is, I believe, that's what the tour guide told me. I don't know if that's really true. It's more than a ticket for Taylor Swift. Yes, that is right, Stu. Yeah, well, you could look at it two ways. On one hand, it's like, oh, wow, they want to be front row seats. On the other hand, what faith and devotion that you would pay so much money to be the first to see Moshiach. That you can look at it either way. I'll go for the latter. I'll try to have faith in people's motives. Okay, so I now will move on to my sermon, which I do want to give you tonight. The good news is we are actually ahead of time. I cut out a couple things because I was worried about being behind time, and I think I kind of overcorrected. So we have a little bit of time this evening. All right. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. So October 26th, 2013. October 26th, 2013. I remember that it was a cool and crisp autumn morning, and there was not a cloud in the sky. Everything in my life that morning seemed to make sense. I had a husband and I had 2 young daughters, and they were both healthy and they were happy. We had a home. My husband and I were in grad school. We lived in a place we loved, Missoula, Montana. It's beautiful there. We had a community of people who were important to us. We were healthy. We were just a year, both of us, away from graduating with our master. I was going to get a master's in music, and my husband was less than a year away from achieving his law degree. That morning, October 26th, 2013, was the morning of my daughter Sophie's 6th birthday party. And she was going to turn 6 4 days later, so she was 5. But she was having her 6th birthday. And then that afternoon, I was going to take my kids to a Halloween party, And then I was going to a poetry reading with a friend of mine. I don't even like poetry that much, but I really liked my friend, and I had heard that it was a really great party. My husband, after the birthday party, said to me, I'm going to put my bike away in the storage unit for the winter, but I think I'm going to go for one last ride. And that night ended for my family in a way we could not have imagined. My husband was dead, and I was a widow with 2 young children. Over the coming year, I struggled financially, I struggled emotionally, I struggled relationally, but most of all, I struggled and I wrestled spiritually. And it was truly the first time in my life that I had bothered to struggle and to wrestle spiritually. Because it was the first time in my life that I realized maybe I had some spiritual needs. Hitting rock bottom in my life, and that is the farthest down I've, thank God, ever been. I was 34 years old, and I was alone, and I felt cursed. In that loss and in that curse, I began to seek some kind of meaning beyond the possessions I had, beyond the achievements in my life, and what I might consider today to be the things that served to distract me from my spiritual needs. And so, for some reason, I began to attend Shabbat services every Friday night at a small Reform congregation, the only Jewish congregation in Missoula, Montana. It's called Har Shalom. Does anyone know what Har Shalom means? Mountain of Peace, or Peace Mountain. It was an apt name. Missoula's a good place, too. We could talk about Missoula. Have you been there? Yes, and this is a good community. Because in my grief and in my loss and in my brokenness and that curse I felt, I found the blessing of a community that was open and warm and welcoming to me. I was a widow with 2 small kids who had nothing to offer them. I've told you that before. Some of you I've told. I walked in there and I had nothing. And they gave me everything. And they took me in. And for a year, I went to services on Friday nights. I lived for Friday nights. And I lived for Saturday mornings. And I lived for Torah study. And eventually I lived for the conversion class on Sunday afternoons. During that year, my heart began to change. I began to be open to the possibility that even in this tragedy, in this curse I seem to have, God might just have a plan for my life. In the chaos of the valley of grief, I found Congregation Har Shalom, Mountain of Peace, and there in that place, I found God. You see, a great curse led to a great blessing. Our Torah reading tonight is Deuteronomy 11. It starts Deuteronomy 11:26. See, this day I set before you a blessing and a curse. A blessing if you obey my commandments, which I enjoy upon you this day, and a curse if you do not obey the commandments of Adonai our God, but turn away from the path which I enjoin upon you this day. Obviously, this is Moses in the wilderness speaking to Bnei Israel. Just as they are to cross over into the land, he is cursed because he isn't allowed to go in with them. And he's warning them against idolatry and danger that they will encounter. and possibilities they will be presented with when they proceed to their destiny without his leadership. Bnei Israel faced blessings and curses in their day. They would make choices and face consequences, both good and bad. And Moses advised them how to choose well. But our situation today is a little different. We're not in the wilderness, thank God. We're here in this sanctuary. And I think that we have a bit of a life that is a little bit easier. You can go check if you want, Sarah. The premise, though, is the same. Choices we make lead to blessings and curses. Sometimes we try very hard to assess everything, to be safe, to be careful, and yet we cannot know all of the factors at times. Despite our very best intentions, we will face a curse. It happens. And blessings, how are we blessed? What is it to be blessed? Some say it's just good luck. But our Jewish faith teaches us that God blesses us whether we know it or not, and that God desires to bless us because God loves us. And we are also taught that if we pay attention and if we listen, if we make a point to have a relationship with God, we can walk what I call a path of blessing. So what is a path of blessing? Does it mean that nothing bad ever happens to us? Well, I think we all know better than that. I remember being little. This is not in my sermon, but I'm just going to tell you a little story about being 10 years old, and I was pretty obedient as a child. I think I was an easy kid, and my brother was 8, my brother David, and he was not obedient, and he was not an easy kid, and we went camping. Have I told you this story before? Okay. I went camping with my mom and dad, and my brother grabbed his fishing pole and ran out to the lake. And I kind of started to go after him, and my mom called me back and said, "Wait, I need you to help me to blow up all of these air mattresses." And I said, "Well, he's going fishing. Why am I doing this?" And she said, "Because I can trust you and you're good." It was a blessing to my mom, but it was a curse to me. Sometimes, even if we're good, things can be hard. So our Torah reading this week tells us that we will not receive blessing if we turn away from the path. I'll say that again. We will not receive blessing if we turn away from the path that God has for us. In Torah, it's a path of mitzvot. With Moshe, he's telling them about how to obey the commandments. And so are mitzvot a path of blessing? It's a good question. We won't get into that. I tend to think so. I like eating kosher. I like davening every day. I like following mitzvot because to me they're a blessing. As Reformed Jews, you have a choice and you can find the mitzvot, the things, the spiritual practices that are meaningful to you. Proverbs 3:5-6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all of your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight." And Psalm 119:105 says, "Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path." We will be cursed in this life. I didn't do anything to deserve to lose my husband, and he certainly didn't do anything to deserve to die in an accident. I was not special that day. My story is sadly not as uncommon as you, or not as common or uncommon as one would like to think. And yet I was incredibly blessed. A path of blessing came upon my life, which led to faith and community, to joy in the Lord. to finding that I had a neshama that was Jewish, and the blessing that I could come home to Bnei Israel, eventually here to this place with you. That is a blessing. And it's a blessing out of a curse. The key word to hear in this is that we must listen, Shema Yisrael. To find the path of blessing, we must listen to what it is that God is trying to call us to. But it's not enough to hear and to listen. We must also answer that call. You have to actually do something. To be blessed, I learned that I had to listen to where God was leading me, and I had to stand up and walk the path. It's not a path of earthly blessing. I'm not talking about praying to be wealthy, but I am talking about a path of meaning and of joy and of discernment for the purpose of our lives as holy and eternal souls. A path of asking God for wisdom and for patience and for understanding, for protection. All of these things lead to lives of joy and prosperity in all the ways that are right for each of us individually. So as individuals and as a community, I ask you tonight, how here in this place are we walking this path of blessing? How are we asking God to guide us? And are we asking God to guide us? Are we asking? I want to tell you that as your spiritual leader, I ask for God to guide us. I pray for this community every single day. And I ask each of you to join me in doing that as well, so that God can work in this place for the good of all of us, for the good of everyone we here in this place touch and affect in our lives. And as we enter Elul, it's happening very soon. Does anyone know when Elul begins, the month of Elul? Yes, David. Okay, I don't know what day of the week is. That's getting soon. I know the day of the week. It's Monday night. You are correct, and I am correct. Monday night. It's September 2nd, or it's maybe September, I don't know. I'm not really sure which day it is, but it is Monday night. That is Rosh Chodesh Elul. It's the second. Audrey is verifying that you are correct. And it's this week. Yes, okay, it's Labor Day. Yes, wonderful. So if you want to celebrate Rosh Chodesh, you would go the next morning, Tuesday morning. And it begins soon, and so it demands that we ask ourselves how we are going to walk a path of blessing in this next month to be able to hear the voice of God. Because I really believe that God is talking to us. But we just have to listen, and we have to do something about it. So I'll leave you with one last verse, Micah 6:8. It says this: He has shown you, O man, what is good and what the Lord requires of you, but to do justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with your God. Adonai oz le'amo yitain, Adonai varach et amo v'shalom. May God bless us all with peace. And let us say amen. Let's turn now to the Mishaberak prayer. Audrey, what page is that on? 371 is our Mishaberak prayer. We're going to pray for healing for those in our community who need it, so that we can begin right now to be a path of blessing. It should be, yes. Let's do the Mishaberak prayer, and then I can look for it. I can find it. Yep. Actually, you know what? I'm wrong. It's not in there. That's why they published the Slichot book, which we will, or the Elul book and Slichot, which we will start next week, Audrey. So it'll be in that. The reason I think Audrey's asking is one of the things to do to prepare specifically for the high holidays during the month of Elul is to pray Psalm 27 every single day. It's a beautiful psalm, and I highly advise that. I also if you studied about the Sfirot with me a couple of weeks ago, that's also a wonderful spiritual practice. If you would like some spiritual practice and you want to talk to me about what that could look like over the next month, please let me know. Email me and I will try to help you with that. Or you can talk to me at the Kiddush. So our list of the Kiddush over there. Yes, I'm pointing to the wrong place. Yes. So our prayers this week for good health are Tony Lee, Hannah Levin, Cindy Jarris, Valerie Horner, Rana Paquette, Jackie Farrell, Miriam Schneer, Avraham Leib, Louise Ziff, Richard McGinty, Morton Kaplan, Bonnie Levine, John Farrell, Lindsay Martin, Tamara Fishman, Martin Jean, Rabbi Jeffrey Ablisser, Igor Korgansky, Kevin Killip, Clara Lobach, Maya Klaz, Susan Tuck Sweetman, Emmett McDonald, Glenn and Melanie Dunn, Sharon Schneer, Rebecca Chappos, Ginny Symbolist, Evgenia Doviduk, Dina Fay, Ari Ben Sarah, Linda Stewart, Sandy Malowitz, Zoya Belinkova, Cheryl Nicole Wright, Colleen Halpern, Karen Devorah Bat Misodi Van Norman, Lori Curtis. We also offer special prayers for safekeeping for all in Israel. Iris Kaver Berliner and family, Michael Orley, Yuval, and Noam Kessler, and all of the soldiers, hostages, and those who have been released. Page 371. Mishe berach avotenu mikor habracha vehimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing. And let us say, Amen. Mishe berach imotenu mikor habracha le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema. The renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Page 376, please join me in the prayer for our congregation. Source of all being, may the children of this community learn these passions from us: love of Torah, devotion and prayer, and support of the needy. May we guide with integrity, and may our leadership be in your service. May those who teach and nourish us be blessed with satisfaction, and may we appreciate their time and their devotion. Bless us with the fruits of wisdom and understanding, and may our efforts bring fulfillment and joy. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha b'yirah na'avod. And our prayer for Israel is on page 377. We'll pray it in Hebrew. You can follow in English, and you can, if you want to pray in Hebrew, join me. Avinu Shabashamayim, Tzur Yisrael v'go'alo, Barak et Medinat Yisrael, Reshit Tzmit Geulatenu, Hagen Aleha Bevrat Chazdecha, Ufros Aleha Sukat Shlomecha, Ushlach orcha va'amitcha l'rasheha sareha ve'yo'atseha v'taknem be'atzah tova mil fanecha v'natata shalom ba'aretz v'simchat olam le'yoshveha v'nomar Amen. We are on page 586. And I'll ask you to rise. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, latet gedula liotze bereshit, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ביוסר הארץ, ובמושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד. אמת מלכנו אפס עולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום בהשבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים, בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river, with understanding, love to each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. You may be seated. So the recent deaths in our community are Marty Adler and Phyllis Oppen. Is it Oppen? All right. Oppen. All right. The yard sites this week are Celia Brown, Florence Crandall, who is the aunt of Rabbi Jeffrey Ablisser, Mary Dolphin, who is Mendy Dolphin's mother. I'm going to say this name, and I'm going to try to say it correctly. Ludmila Forfutidinov, Barbara Kellerman, Mark Lutvak, who is Stephen Lutvak's cousin, Michael Maroff, Hilda Shirky Nissenbaum, who is that how you say it, Tracy? Okay, so Hilda Shirky Nissenbaum, and that is Tracy's grandmother. Eve Packer and Dora Rosen, who is Betty Paisner's mother. Is there anyone else who is saying Kaddish tonight that we should remember? Okay, Jim Brownell. Yes. All right. Is there anyone else? All right. We also are observing the memorials, so that's the Gregorian date, the English date, for Lev Belyakin, who is the grandfather of Maria Belenkova, and Fred Rosen, who is the brother of Betty Paisner. Please rise for Mourner's Kaddish, and I will give us a reading first. Page 593, the light of life is a finite flame. Like the Shabbat candles, life is kindled, it burns, it glows. It is radiant with warmth and beauty, but soon it fades, its substance is consumed, and it is no more. In light we see, in light we are seen. The flames dance and our lives are full, but as the night follows day, the candle of our life burns down and gutters. There is an end to the flames. We see no more and are no more seen. Yet we do not despair, for we are more than a memory, slowly fading into the darkness. With our lives, we give life. Something of us can never die. We move in the eternal cycle of darkness and death, of light and life. Mourner's Kaddish is on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. V'alma divra kirutei v'amlich malchutei. B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dekol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam olamei almaya. Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal. Shmei dekutsha berechu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechemata, ta'amiram be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'el kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'momav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'el kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Zikronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. You may be seated, and I think in the room, Tracy is the only one who was observing a yortzeit. Is that correct? Unless someone doesn't want to say. So Tracy, would you like to, I'm just inviting you, you don't have to say something about your grandmother, or are you okay? You're okay, okay. All right. I just want to let it be an option for you. She was wonderful. Yes. Thank you for coming and remembering her. Yeah, it is a nice thing to say. I think we all hope that when we are gone, people will say we are wonderful. It's beautiful. Thank you. All right. We are at the end of our service, and we will sing Adon Olam in a moment. I do want to give us some announcements. What is it? 6:25. That's wonderful. Okay, I'm going to grab it, and I'm going to get it now. For some reason, it's not in this really great book. I don't know what's going on with that. 6:25 for Adon Olam, but before we do that, I have some announcements for you. I got a phone call, I don't know, about a month ago, right when all this stuff was going on with the protesters and the university and the difficulty with that. I got a phone call from Dr. John Capucci, who is a very good friend of mine, such a good friend to our Jewish community at Assumption University. And he invited me to be among the clergy to give a prayer at the Interfaith Prayer Day for Peace at the university. And this is the spiritual response to what is going on at the university. And so I invite you, it's on September 11th, 2024 at 11 a.m., and it's in the CAW Center Commons on the main floor. All are welcome to come and to pray for our community here in Windsor and around the world, that we can find some way to be together and to have peace and to have understanding. And light refreshments will be after the... If you feed people, maybe they will come. So there will be light refreshments, but I really do believe this is very important. My understanding is that he has tried to have a spiritual response to things for some time. And when this happened with, and I've expressed to him that I would like to also, try to have some kind of a spiritual response, but he and I were kind of feeling like we didn't know how to go about that. I mean, I have the congregation here, but when this happened at the university, someone called him up and said, I need your help. And the university wanted to do this. So this is a beginning, I believe, to something that maybe could be helpful in our community, and the university is asking us to do this. All right, Saturday, August 31st, which is tomorrow. Thank God, we have Torah study. Tracy, are you going to come for Torah study? Oh, okay. It's okay. That is quite a feat. Yes. Oh, okay. Okay, so while you're doing that, I'm sure you will be thinking deeply of God and Torah, and you will be with us in spirit, and we will all be in that room over there in the chapel. I hope every single one of you comes. It is a wonderful time. I really enjoy learning with all of you. You know, you all teach me things, and I hope I also help you to learn as well. It's a really, really wonderful time together. Things coming in September. Religious school starts on September 8th, and we will have, so religious school starts on September 8th. These were all put in a thing, like a sentence, like a paragraph, Sarah, but you were trying to make it short. Okay, but I will pause between each one. The next thing is we will have a survivor of the October 7th attack in Israel speaking as part of our service on Saturday, September 14th. So there is a woman who is coming, and she survived a kibbutz attack, and she will be speaking at our service on September 14th. And I'm going to integrate, I think, her into the service rather than doing a separate lunch and learn, so that we can have a good recording, and then it can be also in a kind of environment of holiness and support and comfort, rather than kind of a eating and things like that. I think this is better. I think she's Israeli. Yes, she's Israeli. Yeah.
There are two people coming. One will be going to the shar that morning, and one is coming here.
Yes. But we will have it recorded. So if anyone has to miss it, that's why I want to have it during the service and not as a separate thing, so that as many people can be reached in the community with her talk. For those who, I'm skipping things. Okay, there is an inaugural event being planned for the women of Bethel on September 21st. And so we are going to have what some call a sisterhood. Others don't want to call it a sisterhood. They want to call it a women's group. It's a group for women who are Jewish to gather as progressive Jewish women. And so we are having that beginning on September 21st. So if you are a Jewish woman, or if you have a granddaughter or a daughter, please invite them. This is for women of all ages, girls of all ages. We're going to make Havdalah candles. And then we are going to go outside, and my friend, Rabbi Gabrielle Pescador, who grew up here in Windsor at the Shar, and she is now in Ann Arbor as the rabbi of the Reconstructionist congregation. She will be leading a mystical, feminist Havdalah circle, and it will be very cool. So please come. She's really great. She's very, very good. And we'll be doing that as part of our Elul observance. And then Slichot in Chatham. I am so excited. Audrey, are you excited? Okay, so there's a lunch. Audrey has to, we're going to try to figure this out so you don't have to. Okay. Good. This, I did not ask you to say this, but Audrey is giving a wonderful scenario. There's going to be a lunch at 2 in Chatham, and we're all going to be there. And if you can't make it to that, there's going to be a Slichot service at 4. You can still come to that. And if you can only go to the lunch, but you can't stay for 4 o'clock, you can just go to the lunch. The whole thing is that we are going to Chatham. We're going to build community with the Temple Israel in London, and we did this last year. It was phenomenal. Come. It is great. It's only an hour drive. We're going to carpool. We'll get it all set up. We have 65, capacity for 65 at the Children of Jacob Synagogue in Chatham, the old historical building. 65, so that means that our synagogue gets between 25 and 30 slots. Temple Israel gets between 25 and 30 slots. And then the Chatham community, we do want to leave a few slots for them. They're very small, so I think 5 or 6 would probably be enough for them. And I'm afraid we might have to cut off registration. So sign up early because this is a really, really great event. If you went last year, I hope you go again. And if you didn't go, please try it. It's phenomenal. It's great. And then, yes. Yes. Oh, yes. Okay, actually, Audrey, for the YouTube, I'd like you to, this is really important, and we forgot to put it there.
September 27th, instead of having a regular lay-led Zoom, we're going to zoom in on the Temple Israel service, and then that way we'll see some of the faces we might get to see again the next day.
Stu, you don't have to remember it. Just for you, we're going to put it in the e-blast. Yes, just for you. Yes, so don't worry. You don't have to take notes or rack your brain. Yes, it'll all be there. But yes, the night before, I will not be leading the service. I actually have somewhere I have to be. Rabbi Dressler from London will be leading the service from Temple Israel. You all will Zoom into that, and it's a chance to interface before we get there. And then, for those who are members of our community, please let us know how you would like to participate in high holiday services. There are lots of choices, including chanting Torah. If that's too scary for you, you can read in English. Not the Torah, but you can read from the Siddur in English, and I'll give you a reading. You can be a greeter. We're going to have a whole thing where we're greeting people at the door. I'm going to have to be on time that morning and early and everything and all set up because I'm going to be out there greeting people before the service. The board is, we're really going to try to welcome people. We're going to have name tags because we want to call every person by name. In this kahal right now, I know every single person's name. I could just rattle it all off. But on the high holidays, that doesn't happen for me. And it doesn't probably happen for you. And there might be people in the community that you have seen year after year and you don't even know their name. We want that to end. We want people to know one another's names. And so you can do that. You can be a greeter. You can take attendance at the door and get people their name tags, which is something. You can help with and it's partly for security. But I'm trying to put a spin on it that is super spiritual and communal, Sarah. So also, if you want to help with any of the events or set up chairs or anything behind the scenes, you can be one of those people. And we'll just find the right thing for you to do. But yes, Tracy. Oh, and Tracy has an announcement here.
Oh, okay. What are we? The Bethel Singers, the choir. I don't know what we're called. But anyway, I'm hoping that we will actually start meeting this week if possible. I was trying to figure out with Michael because he actually has choir on Thursday nights. Yeah. So that's our aim. And we will have, I think, 4 sessions before the high holidays. And then we will be part of the service singing, I think, a couple of songs for each service. Does that sound right?
It's more than a couple, but they're easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Things you may already know. I can explain a little too. There's going to be some special music for the high holidays that will be really beautiful. Some of it is going to be stuff that you all know. So when I lead a service with you, you sing. I can hear you singing, right? But the high holidays, we have a lot of people who don't come to services often. And then it's not as musical of a service. So if we have a group of people who are helping to sing certain songs that we know that are communal songs, it also just makes, Audrey, you were at Rabbi Pescador's, her installation. And that was when Audrey said, we've got to get this going on because they had a whole group, a worship team, and they knew all the music, and they all had parts. It was phenomenal. When they're praying, they're in harmony. It's gorgeous. And so they should contact you, Tracy. Contact Tracy, yes. And she's going to direct the choir. Yeah. Yeah. Space is not limited for this one, only in Chatham. Here, space is not limited. So we want as many people who want to sing and be part of this as possible. No pressure, guys. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that is it for tonight, unless there's anything else. We actually are right at 90 minutes because we had to start late because of the Zoom problem. So I want to keep us on time. I know I'm a little hungry, and I would love some coffee. So let's go. We'll sing Adon Olam, and then we'll go into the chapel, and we will have an oneg, and it will be great. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Le'et Nasa V'chefso Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Ve'acharei Kiklot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora V'hu Haya V'hu Hoveh Vehu yeh betifara, vehu echad, ve'en sheni. Amshilo lehachbira, bili reshit, bili taklit, velo haos ve'amisra, vehu eli, vechai go'ali, betzuchevli be'et sara, vehu nisi humanosli, menat kosi beyom ekra beyado, afkid ruchi be'etishan ve'aira ve'imruki giviati Adonai li velo ira. Shabbat shalom. I'm so glad you all came. I'm so happy to see your sweet punim, and I will see them hopefully also in the chapel. Give me 1 sec. I can do it here. Okay, Audrey, what page is the Kiddush? 123. You know what? We're going to sit down, and you're just going to tell me all the pages, and I'm going to write them down. Yes, aren't you glad you came, Dan? Dan, aren't you glad you came? This is the best place in town. Oh, my goodness. I have to tell you, Dan was such a blessing to me tonight. He has such a heart. I came in, and I said, wow, the AC is on. And he said, I came in here early to make sure that the AC would be on because, Devorah, we're hot out here if it's not on, and you're up there, and it's even worse, and I want to make sure for you. And I said, Dan, you have such a good heart, so thank you for that. It was already done, but he meant well. It was great. Okay, so we're on page 122. All right, so the people on Zoom can have Kiddush. Vayhi erev avoker yom hashishi. The heaven and the earth were finished in all their array, and on the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing, and God ceased on the seventh day from all of the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all of the work of creation that God had done. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu. V'chabat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinkelanu, zicharon le'maseh bereshit. Ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh, zecher litziat mitzrayim, kivanu v'chata ve'otanu v'dashta mikol hamim, ve'shabbat kodshecha ve'ahava uvratzon Hinchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. And we have our challah. It's out of the bag. Thank you, Sarah. It's out of the bag. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. I am going to push this into the chapel. And then, Gav, would you be willing to cut the challah while I turn that off? Push it into the chapel and then cut it for us? That would be excellent. I'll take this. You can use this to kind of cover it up while you cut it for germs. Yes, all right. You can go here and you can just push it aside. Everyone, Shabbat Shalom. Gav will be in there cutting for you, doing a mitzvah, and I'll be turning off the live stream. All right, so I'll be in there in a sec.